Greetings, friends. It is indeed a privilege to be offering the talk for Unity of Columbus this Sunday, March 29th in the year 2020. And what a year it's been so far in the 2020 vision. You know, so many things are shifting in our world around us. And also things are shifting in the world inside of us, which is kind of where I want to hang out with you today a little bit. Recognizing that in every moment and in every space-time continuum opportunity, we're given the chance to decide how we want to approach a thing. We are given free will as human beings, as we know. And I think there are so many different options and opportunities that come into play that we take in through empirical knowledge, right? Our senses certainly dictate and govern much of what we do as human beings. But what happens when we turn the searchlight within and instead of looking out for some of the answers, looking within first? I know right now with the medium of internet, and I'm coming to you through a Zoom link, which is fantastic. It's cool that we can connect like this still. I start to think about empirical knowledge and living in the world through our senses. But what happens when we turn the senses off and connect to a deeper source within, that source of the Christ consciousness, the source of spirit, whatever you want to call it God, spirit, depending on which continent you were born onto, you might hear a different word expressed for what that consciousness is. More and more we're finding, even in Unity, just incorporating different philosophies around world religions, and how some of the religions of the world are kind of separating away from where they started and allowing this consciousness to evolve, allowing it to evolve. So just like any true master teacher, Jesus the Christ is certainly an amazing influence on the world to this day, in that gospel of love that was such an example of his life. There's so many other things though too, that consciousness, there's so many metaphysical teachings that we don't have an opportunity to dive into so much when we're living in the world the way we've been living in the world. All of a sudden we've been given this opportunity to put it on pause. I've been getting emails from friends and colleagues around the globe sharing some of the different spiritual practices that they're introducing to their congregations. And I'm really thrilled to be offering some new things with Soul Call Ministries that I'll be launching April 5th, soulcallministries.org. And also in conjunction with Unity here in Columbus, when we're allowed to meet again in person, we'll be doing some things live in your space. So happy about that. But Soul Sessions is one of them, and I want to talk a little bit about what Soul Sessions is, and how we can do our own little mini soul session right here with you today. It's about going within to the light of the soul, the spark of the infinite that has grown the spine and brain of our being, and that energy descends into the spine and comes out through all of our extremities and all of our internal organs and all of the things that we're doing to bring this light to life, this light to life. So you're a spark of the infinite flame of God's cosmic dream. I remember receiving a pamphlet many years ago now, when I was 2. I wish, no. From Paramahansa Yogananda, who founded and brought to the West many forms of meditation. A lot of things came from the teachings that he brought. Vivekananda came in 1893 and brought some of these teachings from the West. And largely, these two are responsible for the launch of the New Thought movement as we know it. Continuing on into the New Thought movement, what Soul Sessions, music, meditation, and poetry, what Erika and I started to do, similar to what was done in Taizé, France, the Taizé experience, was to allow people to put away their differences for a moment, put away the things that challenge you in your life, turn it all off, and go within. Listening to that still small voice until that becomes the loudest voice in your consciousness, the one that you are governed by. And when I say governed, I mean the one that you trust, that leads you through intuition. It's a developed awareness of the subtle vibrations of spirit that are accessible to us at all times, everywhere present. There is no place that God is not. And we know this. So we're faced with the current challenge right now of a pandemic. I'm not sure about you. Sometimes I look at the New York Times. I'm not looking too much into it. I am aware of what I'm supposed to be doing to be socially responsible. This collective individualism. We're practicing ways of remembering who we are as the individual spark of the divine flame. Some of us are with families, so we're in our homes and we've got our families around. Others of us are living in our homes by ourselves. So reaching out through technology is nice so you can have someone to talk to. What if you pretended this time, if you have the luxury of this, where you're not physically responsible to other people or caregiving or something like this, if you're able to take this opportunity to redefine yourself or reclaim yourself, as it is for some people, to reclaim yourself. And practicing the presence. That's mostly practicing the presence is what soul sessions kind of helps us to do. Practicing the presence of God is being at one with whatever is happening in the moment. And that doesn't mean spiritual bypass. It doesn't mean pretending that you're okay with everything that's in the moment. I know a lot of times in the New Thought movement, there are you try to treat something away. Some of the New Thought friends are onto this. It's not, you don't want to pretend like it's not happening. And you're standing there looking at a situation and you're not going to say, this is not happening, I refuse to see it. That's not practicing the presence. That's being in denial of what's happening. So what I'm not asking you to do today is to be in denial of the situation, but rather be present with what is happening and ask yourself some questions. And each one of us will come with a different response to this question. But how does this serve my highest vision for myself right now? How does this serve me? What is falling away? There are probably a lot more questions than answers right now. And that's okay. It's learning how to live in the mystery. It makes us uncomfortable sometimes because in our tidy world of questions and answers, right now, if you have children, many of them get these multiple choice tests, and there's always one answer that's the best answer. And that's the one they're looking for, and that's how you'll succeed, if you can just get that answer. But if experiencing life and practicing the presence and collective individualism, we recognize everything is not for everybody. We're different. We are born different so that we can become this divine orchestra of harmonic resonance to help raise the vibration to another dimension where we can experience that oneness we talk about. But it's not a collective oneness on the physical plane. It is in consciousness that we are one. In our collective consciousness, collective individualism, what I mean by that is our collective consciousness is how we express that infinite source of God that is unique to us. It is unique to every one of us. However many people there are on the planet, that's how many paths there are back to the infinite. We're here to help each other out. Ram Dass says we're all here just walking each other home. That was a really beautiful sentiment. And we each have a piece. And sometimes our pieces go together beautifully. And sometimes they appear to not. But even when you're not fitting right in perfectly with another human being, maybe they're just here to like sandpaper, help you rub up against something a little rough to make yourself a little more smooth. I found it useful through my life as an artist and also as a spiritual teacher to recognize when something's coming in It's coming for me, never against me. There is no one or no thing that is in opposition to me. It's all here to help grow me, show me something else, something else. So in practicing the presence of God, I think about, how do we define God? It's an indefinable thing. But let's just set forth a couple premises that we'll work with today, just to incorporate an idea and keep it kind of distilled to a few ideas when we think about what is God. If we can agree that God is consciousness, God is absolute existence. So God is consciousness. God is absolute existence. God is ever new joy. Ever new joy. What does that mean? When you live from the soul, that's where we can experience ever new joy. So going back to soul sessions again, this music meditation opportunity to just do a 30-minute meditation of music and inspirational poetry and space to just sit in the stillness. In the stillness of the soul is where you can really fully realize God is consciousness. God is absolute existence. God is ever new joy. Ever new joy. So that means perhaps that it's not something you acquire or attain and then you just stay there. I'm joyful today and I'm good. That's a state of an ego construct. And I'm going to read from a lesson from Paramahansa Yogananda. And it's, the mind must be protected from 4 alternating psychological states of the ego. So the mind is where consciousness kind of resides and gets distributed, but consciousness is present in every one of our cells. And we're going to get back to that in a minute. But the mind must be protected from 4 alternating psychological states. And those are sorrow, the state of false happiness, the state of indifference, and a deceptive, passive peace that claims the ego for brief intervals whenever it manages to shake off the other 3. This passive peace, it can't last. And you can usually tell what somebody's kind of state they're in just by the way they look, right? So how do we then get rid of these 4 states that aren't the real ones and go for the real state of eternal, ever new joy, ever new bliss? It's beyond these other changeable states of sorrow, false happiness, indifference, and mental inertia. There's this neutral zone that you can get to in meditation. But the neutral zone is also not what you want. We don't want to reside in a place where we're not thinking or feeling. So right now, the world, we're experiencing a pandemic that is causing lots of pain, lots of loss, a lot of sorrow. And there are also people experiencing new opportunities to remember themselves. You might take a walk in your neighborhood, as we've been asked to keep social distancing, but to get outside and go for a walk is a good way to increase your resistance to this pandemic, this virus. Get outside, walk. I'm watching people walk slowly in the front yard of my house right now. There are these amazing spray of tiny purple flowers with the center looks like a little white star. It reminds me of meditation in the third eye. They're so cute, but people are walking up and down the street. I'm just stopping, looking at the flowers, looking at the buds on the trees. Life continues to surge on this planet, even though many people are suffering. How do we make sense of this? How do we understand it? So it's not the ego that's going to turn off and help us to get our mind around what's happening and understand it. Scientists are doing their best to figure out how to counteract this virus. That's one way. Well, one of the things that we can do in our individual world, whether it's in our home with family or whether it's we're home quarantined by ourselves, or we're feeling a little under the weather, or God forbid, you get the virus yourself. One of the things that we can do is to keep our vibration really high. And this sounds kind of silly, and I'm a little silly, but there's I call it like the cosmic bug lamp. Keeping your vibrations super high so that you're supercharged. What do I mean by the cosmic bug lamp? Bugs are attracted to the light of the bug lamp, and then it gets kind of fried. But it's because the vibration is higher and not as dense as the body of the bug. So if we can maintain our spiritual charge, we're going to be teaching exercises to bring more light into the body. And here's one I'd like to share with you. Like the soul knows how to keep the charge. It's when the ego starts to get caught up in the things of the world that we don't have a whole lot of control over, that we get a little whipped up, as a friend of mine says, and a little off of the mark with our willpower, our won't power, and our point of control. The thing we do have control over is our mental state and how we approach or engage or be practicing the presence of God with what is happening in our life. It's the best way to maintain that sacred center and that balance, being firm at the core with your own light. Let that spark of the infinite flame come inside of you and light all the lamps, as they say. In thy house, with thine own hands, light the lamp of thy love. Thousands of suns and moon from my bodies do shine. It's also Yogananda. Recognizing that in each cell, what if we hoarded joy cells in a space in our mental storehouse, like we have canned goods and toilet paper? We need those things. We are also the body, so we do need to eat. But it's keeping our mental charge and our vibration really high that's going to help us to control other aspects of our world that seem to be out of control. We seem to be out of control. How do we do this? How do we pull this joy into the heart, into the cells? We have trillions of cells. I got to thinking about this the other day, doing a light meditation. I've said this before, but if we look at fish swimming in water, we look at the fish and we say, look at them swimming around in water. And I got to thinking one day, what if the fish are looking at us saying, look at those humans swimming around in light. We are emerged in eternal light. We emerge from eternal light. It permeates every particle of our being. We live in that light. Divine Spirit fills us within and without. That's a scientific healing affirmation. So envisioning one cell, just pick one cell like we did in the meditation, and breathe into that cell, puff it out and fill it with joy. Set it off to the side and fill as many of your cells as you want to hoard in this mental storehouse. Just put it away somewhere. And the day that you're having the biggest challenge practicing the presence of the joy of God, go to that storeroom just like you would when you ran out of food and you needed to crack open a can of whatever you've got stored in your pantry. Get in there and pop open the cork of one of these little joy cells, this joy bubble, and allow it to spill through the entire construct of your being. Allow it to fill every particle of your being. Allow yourself to quench that thirst for joy by bringing it forth from within you. You already possess all you have. You already possess all you have, all that you need. Of course you possess all you have. Thank you very much. You heard that here first. Yeah, you already possess all you need to experience this joy. You already possess it. I remember when I was a little kid, so I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters, and I am the 4th of 5. Some people are out there figuring out what that would mean psychologically to be me. I don't think you'll ever figure out what it means psychologically to be me. Those who know me well get what I mean by that. But there was a thing that my brothers and I, we would be playing and everything would be fine, and then all of a sudden, somebody would get tired and need a nap, and sometimes names would be called or things like this. But I don't know why I did it, but I just remember doing this thing, and I would say, I've just surrounded myself with light. Everything you say just bounces right off. They can't even get me. And I kept the charge high, and knowing that I had just protected myself, no matter what they said, I had to believe in my own source of protection. If I still got upset after I surrounded myself with light, that would mean that I don't even believe in the words I say or the things I do. Does that make sense? So for me to speak my word and know that I am protected, I am a divine child of the infinite source, I am keeping my vibration high, and the consciousness of the Christ, of that infinite intelligence, knows how to keep my cells alive and joyful. So if I say I'm protecting myself, surrounding myself with a super high vibration of light that is higher in vibration than all things that are coming my way today. And I just believe that and step forward in faith. I know that it works. But if I still get upset with something that my brother would say, or somebody who was teasing me or calling me names or something like that, that means I don't even believe or have faith in the word, faith in the strength that's inherent in my nature. So I'm going to charge you with protecting yourself in consciousness, raising the vibration by storing some mental joy cells, as many as you want. Hoard those. If you got 1 trillion of them, put a couple billion somewhere. And you could fill up 1 billion at a time. I've got 1 billion. And you can pop the cork on this joy, like effervescent drinks, a kombucha or some sparkling water or something refreshing and tingling like that. Fill your cells and allow your body to feel that tingling of the joy. As opposed to, but not in opposition to, recognizing there's a concern in the world. We're not saying that people aren't suffering and dying. They are. So you're not creating a Pollyanna where it's not happening. But what you're doing is resuscitating the remembrance, resuscitating the joy in your own cells that is going to keep you healthy and able to move through it and help others who might be dreaming nightmares, to move through it with an attitude of joy, seeing the grace in this moment. We've been going pretty full speed ahead for a long time globally. And perhaps this is our opportunity to just slow down, or to remember the small joys in life. And it's not the things, it's those moments, the quality that is found in those moments with self and others. We're connecting more with people we haven't seen for a long time as we've slowed down. I'm just launched a brand new CD with my duo partner and business partner, musician extraordinaire Natalia Zuckerman, called Seeker 7. And our music is at seeker7.com. I think you're either just going to see it. It's either coming up after this talk or right before it. But one of the things we're really excited about is the recognition that one of the lines of the song we co-wrote is slowing down to the speed of words. And Erika and I used to talk about that all the time. Slowing down to the speed of love, from linear to circular. In this world of seeming duality, getting back into the soul, you'll be able to have a simultaneous experience of vibrational dimension. You'll experience dimensions based on the vibration of your cells and your consciousness, and also a simultaneous experience of everything. So linear, you could take it out to as far as you can until the weight of the sides becomes so heavy that it connects again and creates a circle. I'm writing about this in a book right now on spirituality and grief. But it's a concept I discovered recognizing that there's joy and sorrow in every moment. And to put one over the other is to deny the reality of the simultaneous nature of life. There's always something being born and something decaying and becoming a different form of life, a transformation, a transition to a different dimension. So recognizing that inherent in our nature, just as we're coming up on Easter, resurrect that consciousness right now. Take that time to go within, into the cave of silence. Resurrect the consciousness of the Christ. Be still and know that I am God, Jesus. said that, and take it into a meditation for yourself. I've got another. This joy of God is omnipresent. Fill your oneness with that joy. Fill your soul with that joy, and then feel your oneness with the joy. It resides within you, and it encompasses infinity. That's a big concept. Beyond the gross vibratory boundaries of matter, the immutable infinite reigns in all majesty and vastness. Get caught up in that and recognize it within your reality. This joy is ever present. Within the center of your being, this joy is ever present. And know that you are held in love and light, and practicing the presence of God, practicing the light, practicing that consciousness. And as you go in now, as you go in, take this opportunity to see how, when we're allowed to circulate again, how you'll be of service to self and others, how you might maneuver differently, knowing that we can actually interact as a group again. What will you throw away? What will you keep? Clearing the consciousness of clutter, that pure joy, that pure space of oneness. What is it that you want to do? What is it that you're practicing now that you'll bring forth out into the world when you mix with people again? We are human beings having a human experience of the divine. It is our birthright to be joyful. So my deepest wish for all of you is to take this opportunity to be present with what is. Don't wish it away. And there are varying degrees of comfort and discomfort for all of us right now. And I know that. Help where you can. Help yourself where you can. Be a friend to yourself. And take a few moments every day to just sit in that stillness and listen to the calling of your soul, following that passion. I thank you for the opportunity to be with you this morning, and just sending out so much love. And we can share that love, share it through every medium possible, and watch how it comes back to you. Watch how it comes back. And for those of you who have family members or close friends who are ill right now, just know that I am holding all of you in a high consciousness of healing light. And you can send your prayers to Unity, and they'll pray for you too. But know that there are many, many people praying at all times without ceasing. And that's kind of where I'm spending my time right now, is in the internal, doing what is mine to do. I feel like this is what's mine to do, is to go within and bring out opportunities to stimulate that joy in the cells and the consciousness, that consciousness of remembering and that consciousness of love. Many, many blessings. Now let's take this into prayer.